In this Q&A video supported by the Luceco Group, we're going to answer the question, how do I comply with safe access on a construction site? Just before we explain the answer to this question, please be aware that this video is one of a series that we've made on the subject of health and safety in construction. They can be viewed individually, or you can click the link in the description below to view them as part of a free online training package to help you with your CPD and receive a certificate to prove you've completed the course. Construction sites represent a weird kind of paradox in that safe access is required to a building that has to be built to create safe access to the building that has to be built to create safe access to the building that has to be built, and so on and so forth. Mind-bending stuff. Back in the old days, safe access was taken slightly less seriously, and you might have found yourself walking across a pair of wobbly scaffolding planks laid precariously across a trench to get in. When we talk about access on construction sites, there's two slightly different meanings to think about. The first is making sure that only people who are meant to be on the site are able to access it. This is one of the reasons why construction sites are surrounded by temporary fencing or hoarding and keep out signs everywhere to prevent people getting in and potentially hurting themselves. The other reason is to stop people getting on site and nicking stuff, but just focusing on the safety aspect for now. Experienced tradies know that construction sites present a whole raft of dangers to people, including the dangers of being hit by moving vehicles and plant, standing on sharp objects like nails and screws buried in mud or rubbish, the dangers of electricity, stuff falling onto you, you falling off platforms or into trenches, noise, dust, vibration. I could go on. This may cause you to wonder, what's to stop the people who are supposed to be on site from hurting themselves? Well, that's achieved by a combination of the training you'll have had as part of your own trade and what you should experience every time you set foot on a new site, the site induction. This will explain about all the specific hazards and risks on that particular site, as well as how you play your part in minimising those risks. So restricting access to people who don't understand these dangers is critical, but it's also difficult. Construction sites vary wildly in size from small individual plots all the way up to sprawling estates or multi-storey buildings. They're also subject to frequent changes in their nature and layout as the build progresses. Lots and lots of different people need to get on site to actually do the work, and as viable sites for development become rarer, we're increasingly seeing sites in built-up, highly populated areas, making them more vulnerable to access by unauthorised people. The importance of access is emphasised by the fact that it's deeply embedded in the Construction Design and Management Regulations, or CDM Regulations. You'll find these on the legislation.gov.uk website, which means that they are statutory and, therefore, the law, so they need to be complied with. In Part 4 of those regulations, we find this direction in paragraph 17. Safe places of construction work, 17.1. There must, so far as is reasonably practicable, be suitable and sufficient safe access to and egress from A. every construction site to every other place provided for the use of any person whilst at work, and B. every place construction work is being carried out to every other place to which workers have access within a construction site. 2. A construction site must be, so far as is reasonably practicable, made and kept safe for and without risks to the health of a person at work there. 3. Action must be taken to ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, that no person uses access to or egress from or gains access to any construction site which does not comply with the requirements of paragraph 1 or 2. 4. A construction site must, so far as is reasonably practicable, have sufficient working space and be arranged so that it is suitable for any person who is working or who is likely to work there, taking account of any necessary work equipment likely to be used there. So, sites need to be kept safe, and no one is to access an unsafe site. In order to make sure that access remains limited to people who are trained to be in this type of area, we find this information in paragraph 18. Good order and site security. 18.1. Each part of a construction site must, so far as is reasonably practicable, be kept in good order, and those parts in which construction work is being carried out must be kept in a reasonable state of cleanliness. 2. Where necessary in the interests of health and safety, a construction site must, so far as is reasonably practicable, and in accordance with the level of risk posed, comply with either or both of the following. A. Have its perimeter identified by suitable signs and be arranged so that its extent is readily identifiable. Or B. Be fenced off. So to take the safest possible approach, most sites are now fenced off and access is securely restricted to those who should be on site. And access is becoming increasingly modernised as well, with some sites requiring PIN codes or badges to gain entry. At one site myself and Gary visited recently, there was a turnstile at the entrance and a video intercom system we had to pass through to even access the outer perimeter of the site, an increasingly common method to maintain safe access to sites. The other meaning behind access is making sure that you can actually get to the area you're working in safely. This includes the use of mobile elevated platforms, scissor lifts, scaffolds and so on. We'll dive into some more specific information about working at heights in the next video in this series. So there we go, that's what you need to know about access. To find out about working at heights, check out this video here, or click the link in the description below to watch it as part of our free training package to help you with your CPD and receive a certificate as well. All that remains in this video is to say, thank you very much for watching.